Okay, so let's go back to our today's history. As you can see, the withdrawal was $199 million. Okay, and so far we are left with a profit of around, if you can see, deposit was 55 US dollars, and then the deposit was 199. But the reason why I closed out on this trade on gold is because I'm seeing that structure is starting to do what? To shift. Remember taking those buys from here. This was my point of entry, and the reason why I bought here was because price had already given me an indication. Look at this. This was a high. Okay, price made an indication, it corrected and then came above this level, so that's why I took my buys. But I was in a little bit late, so I caught my buys from around here. That's why I caught my buys, and I was expecting that if price was able to break this low, then I was going to be out of this market. But so far we see that price has been moving. Okay, so today we have 55k USD. Okay, we have 540k USD. Okay, we're trying to grow this account ASAP. So we go back to the first principles. The first thing that I see here is USDJPY. Now USDJPY has already given us an indication above this level. Okay, if you observe, we have that high. Price broke above that high over there. We broke above this high, giving us the indication this is all correction, and then price is now trying to retrace for that continuation push. Now, why am I not entering my buys here on USD, GBP USD? The answer is very simple. Even though we have seen that there's a structure shift to the upside, and we are above this level, technically we are above this level the third time, right? The reason why I cannot take a buy here is because I don't have enough confirmations. I don't have enough structure confirmations. If you get something like this, if price respects the low under there, okay, and then we get, sorry for that, we go back to the H1, H4. I think it was the H4, yeah. So if you get something like a structure confirmation where price makes a pullback and then after it makes a new higher high, then and only then will I have some confirmation that we may want to do what, to continue pushing higher. Okay, why am I saying this? Because in most of the cases in my journey, what I've observed is that if you neglect structure, you're always going to be smoked in the end, right? The moment you start neglecting structure, you're going to be smoked. Anyways, we have this high, price broke above it. Okay, but on top of that, I don't want you guys to over complicate your charts. Look at this. We have this low on the on the H4. Okay, so price made a breakout of this low. Okay, and then after some time we saw that we had the indication, the correction, but price never went underneath this level, right? So here it's all just about patience. We just have to wait. On the H1 there isn't much we can deal with. Okay, there isn't so much that we can deal with, so let's wait and see how price goes for this one. USD, I'll just have to keep on waiting. Then US oil, it has been actually very bullish for the past couple of months, weeks. Okay, very bullish, but now we're starting so far to have a pullback. We saw that earlier this week we had this indication. This was an indication move on US oil. Okay, price gave us this indication. Look at this, price gave us the indication all the way up to that side. This is the correction. Okay, and then after as price came above this level, so expect another push. Probably by, I think, tomorrow we may have another push to clear up this high over here. That's what I'm expecting. So I have to go to like the H1 and confirm, but on the H1 I don't see much structure. On the H1. The only structure point that I can see so far is this area over here. You see that we have this high, price is now just consolidating, so you just have to wait for this one. But that's US oil. And then the last pair that I wanted to see is US 30. So US 30, again I go to the higher time frame. The daily time frame would work wonders here. So the daily time frame on US 30, we have this low over here, which was very recent. Okay, I just marked the body of the candle because that's where I get most of my sniper entries. So we have an indication for a sell marked by this low over here. So we have this level of support, price broke underneath it. Okay, and then price is just playing within this high over here, this high, and then this low. So before that high was created, we had this low that created that high, right? So this is an area of what? Great support. Price came here, it bought off of this zone. So what does that mean? It means that if we are to get any entries for buy, price has to literally show us bullish momentum, right? So So for that to happen, you go down to the low time frame. This is the H4, and then H4 you observe that price has formed way too many levels of what resistance. You have that level of resistance, this level of resistance. So these are like lower highs. This is a lower high. This is a lower high. So it means that there is, for price to start buying, we have to break so many levels. Look at that. Price has to break this level. It has to break this level. It has to break this level. Given that, we know that if that happens, that means that price is likely to have what? Some bit of a bullish run. But before that, US 30, I'm looking for sales actually, especially if we enter into the New York session. We enter into the New York session, I'll be looking for sales, okay? I'll be looking for sales. Okay, so we have this low on the US 30, we have this low over here, this is on the H1. So we have this low over here. So let me first remove the previous diagrams, okay? So you have this low on the H1. If you observe, this was a level of support. Price came underneath it to break the level of support. It came back for a pullback. Now expecting another push to the downside, but we don't know when, right? So how do you know when this pullback is imminent? When the pullback has stopped and then you are selling just for selling. The first things first, we go to the low time frame. This is the M5. I don't usually go down to the M5 or the M15, but I usually just want to look for structure points where I can enter in my sales. Okay, so if you observe from the M5, okay, we have this high over here. Look at this. This is like a head and shoulders pattern, right? This is the head, right, left shoulder, and then this is the right shoulder that is actually forming. I don't sell here. No, that's not how I trade. I usually sell when price is underneath this structure point. So if price comes under there, I may be looking for like my sell entry. So this will be a good sell zone. So this will be like a sell stop, right? And yeah, my TP will be again to that area on H4. Okay, so my first ever TP would be this area where price stopped. That would be around 119k. And yeah, let's see what price will give us for US 30. But so for US 30, I don't see much. Yeah, I don't see much. But back to our original point, gold, as I've told you, gold is just forming a bit of a pullback. This is all normal stuff, right? All normal stuff. It isn't something that should scare you, because we have these highs over here and price is just reacting off of this level, right? So this is just all basic stuff. Yeah, I think that's it. We have this low, okay, and then you also have this low over here. We have this high that was broken, giving us the indication. Now we're in correction phase, and I'm expecting another push to the upside, probably after the pullback is done. On the M15 there isn't much, so yeah, I'll just have to wait for this one. But yeah, so far you see that our deposit was 55 million. We made over $143 million as our profit. Okay, this was a bit of a high risk entry. Okay, to be sure, to just tell you the truth, this was a bit of a high risk entry. But as you can see, so far in the past, we have had losses. Of course, we have had losses here with gold. We've had losses with many pairs, right? We have had losses with many pairs, but overall, we have been doing pretty good for our account, given that we have been trading these pairs, especially gold. If you go to the symbols here, you will observe that I've been trading gold the most. Look at that. Gold here I was making over 500k, 400k. This is 500k in a single trade, right? 600k. These are the trades that actually made me the most money. Look at this, 700k in a single trade, right? This is like $250,000 in just a single trade, right? Just a single trade. So yeah, I'll go back to the symbols. If you go to gold, you observe that gold has been my best pair, right? With gold, I have been able to make over $146 million. Okay, of course, now you may say that this is like huge risk. This is huge risk taking. Yes, I know it's huge risk, but it's something that you can easily do in your bedroom, right? This is money that you can easily make from your bedroom. It's not for everyone. That's why I don't recommend it for everyone. Most people are just they have a very small risk appetite. They can't see through drawdown, and they doubt themselves too much. So it's not something that I would recommend. Okay, so I withdrew, and I'm back to 540k USD. Okay, so back again, I'll go to the H1 for gold, and you're currently selling on gold. You're just making that pullback, as I've told you before, and let's see how price moves. Because if I'm to show you what this means, the guys who use the Fibonacci, so they move from the low here, this is the previous low, up to that previous area there above. So they look for that 50% mark. The 50% mark is over here. Actually, let me first edit this. No, let me edit the. So the Fibonacci, the levels that we want. Okay, so we shall delete all the levels, accept the 50 and then the 1. Okay, save. The rest can go away, and then we shall just save these 2 levels. Okay, so we have the 50 or even the 0%. We also need the 0% level. Okay, this is the 0% level. Okay, so we save. We have 0, 50 and then 100. Okay, so I'm expecting price to pull back to this 50% level. Okay, so we go back to the low time from within 15, and then we look for areas where price could potentially pull back. So we have the 50% over here. The guys who are actually very good at this, they look for these entries with sniper eyes. Okay, so within this we have like a bit of order block. Order block is where price moves in a rapid phase without stopping. Okay, that means there are sets of orders, some bit of consolidation before price makes that huge push to the downside. For now, I'll just have to wait, doing nothing. Yesterday I did nothing and made over $143 million. Okay, so today even I'm going to also be doing nothing, and then I'll be making. My target for this account is not just about doubling, it's about showing you guys that it's possible to grow a very small account. This is $540,000. It's very possible to grow this small account into millions of dollars, right? You can grow this small account into millions of dollars, even close to $1 billion, right? Why? Because with leverage and understanding how the market works, I could have added more positions, right? I could definitely have added more positions, but I was not in the markets by that time, so yeah, there is that also. But so far you see that the structure on gold has been extremely what? We have had lots of good setups with gold actually. If you have observed from my previous videos, we have this low over here. Okay, price took out this low. Okay, took out this low. Anything underneath that level will give us bullish, bearish confirmations, right? As simple as that. We know that anything that goes under there, we shall be having bearish what? Confirmations. But then look at what gold did. It made this level of support underneath. Okay, after price reached this level of support, what happened? It started to push up. Look at this. Price just started to push what? Push up until we reach this area. After price reached this area, it sold off the first time. Okay, but we already had the indication that above this level of support, of resistance, price was bullish. So that's why I took this entry. If I'm to show you the trade history, you observe that dang, we're back to this bullshit again. Crap. Okay, I know why gold does this. It just disturbs me a lot, especially when I put a trade history. It just likes to like disturb me and stuff. Okay. It's playing the cat and mouse most game, but we know that it will show eventually. Okay, but so far if you see it's US oil is actually starting to become volatile. If I see how it's doing, US oil is starting to become a little bit violent right now. Okay, starting to become a little bit violent. Yeah, I don't see any structure here, though I may have some bit of a structure, at least I think, because currently we had this high over here. This was the high before price made that jump, right? So yeah, this can count as well, but where would my stop loss be for this one? If I'm to buy here, my stop loss will be underneath this low over there. This will be my stop loss. So basically it will be around from my entry here minus 1.29%. If you risk 1.29% of the account, that will be crazy for most people. Okay, I'll buy US oil here because I'm seeing that price is above my zone, and also so far we have these lows here that price is respecting. So I'm kind of suspecting that price is actually starting to become bullish on what? On US oil. There I don't want to overcommit, so I'll put my stop loss just underneath here. That will be around 45k, 50k, around 45k of stop loss. My target could be all the way up to the top here. That's like 90k. Okay, so let's first of all go back to gold and see how this pair is moving. Gold has kind of just refused to work. Gold has refused to work. So let's remove trade history, because trade history is just messing me up right now. Okay, so we have these highs and lows. If you go to the M15, I think it's more better. You can see this a bit more clearly. So the M15, you see that we had this high over here. So this was the high, just above here. This was the high. And then we had this low. If this low was taken out, I can easily just take out this trade because it's not confirming anything. So you have to see how price reacted. If you observe price respected this low, right, it never took it out. So I'm looking for entries, right? I'm looking for entries. So here I'll just have to wait a little bit more. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.